what we want to do is we're not creating marketing material, we're creating propaganda. We're creating videos that manipulate people to take the action we want. So the easiest way to do this is you want to basically go through all of your sales call transcripts, coaching call transcripts, get as much data as physically possible. You upload this into AI, and then you would ask it to pull out the top 10 pain points that keep your clients up at night, that they would only tell their therapist, that are so painful that they're paranoid about it. And it will pull all this information out. The second thing you're going to then want to do is, once you've got this information from their actual language that people have used on calls with you, is you also want to get your best client to do what's called an Ocean personality test. So this is a test you can get them to do for free. Why do we do this? Is when we've got, say for example, data from their calls, so that's like the pain points. We've then got I'll put PT for ease, the personality test. We would then ask to come up with, we'll ask the AI to come up with the top 10 negative hooks specific to that avatar. Now, why is it important? We say negative, I'll come on to, but from the pain points perspective, this is the actual thing people are saying on calls. This is hyper specific. So if you've ever you've read something or you watch something like, I feel like that person's read my mind, this is literally what we're fucking doing. And the way content works and ads work is the algorithm will go through every word you say, and it will alter the targeting based upon that. And I can kind of touch on that as well. So once we've got the pain points, I would then ask it basically to kind of give me 10 hooks, and I would make sure they're negative. Why would they be negative hooks? Because I'm trying to trigger people and get their attention. If you watch, which I would highly recommend you don't, if you watch mainstream media and you watch the news, you never see anything positive. Why? Because negativity grabs your attention, it pulls you in. So human beings are driven a lot more by fear than they are by like the positive. So you always want to try and push a negative angle. I helped a client who's a fitness coach in the wedding niche script some ads for a VSL this week, and we ran 10 negative hooks and we should run 3 positive, just to try and see what works. But the negative always works. If you look at any of my paid ads, always have a negative hook. And the best one, if anyone wants to steal this, works in any niche, is do you have no clue how to X, Y, Z? So do you have no clue how to build an online fitness business? Do you have no clue how to get abs? Do you have no clue how to get in shape for your wedding? Whatever it is. Now, that's like the overall framework from a creative standpoint. Now, what I do in terms of we can kind of go into what problems you need to fix from the ads, because like this is the highest leverage thing you can do. If you get the ad creative right, the rest of it doesn't really matter. And we talk about the strategy as well. But that is a really simple framework using ads and AI for that. One of the questions you might think is like, should I script the entire ad and teleprompt it? You can do. I've done some ads that are fully teleprompted. If you're good on camera, I will personally just do the hook and then just rip. And like the best framework I see that works from a creative standpoint is going to be like this. So you run hook, I'll put so it's unique mechanism. Like what's the thing that you do that's specific that gets client results? I'll put CS, like CT, client case studies, it's basically the next thing. So client results, and then CTA. That's like the framework of every ad that works. So hook, unique mechanism, sometimes client case study, CTA. And you want to put that social proof actually into the video. So I'll put screenshots of like me with one of the guys with the awards, or like a graphic, because the number one reason people don't buy, is skepticism. So we constantly want to reinforce that from a messaging standpoint, that like you are the top dog at what you do, you constantly have all these client results, and be very direct. We actually filmed a podcast with a client of ours who's a savage, to be fair. He is from the US, his name's Giacomo. He took his fitness business from 0 to $64,000 a month in 4 months. Did a podcast in my house last week. And he said, this is how interesting it is from a marketing perspective. He was lying in bed, like worrying about how shit his business was. He was doing like $1,000 a month or something. And then I popped up in an ad. And he's like, I just liked how convicted and certain you were in the way you spoke. It's like the way you also speak in the ads is very important. And what happened? He then signed up, and then I think he made like 17K in his first month with like 800 followers. He then scaled to make 60,000, 2,000. So like, he's a good example of someone who's been triggered by the ad that conveniently popped up at the right time. But our job as a marketer and as an entrepreneur is to make sure we create our own lock and then pop up at the right time. So That's what the kind of general framework I would look at from like an advertising perspective. The second thing I do, particularly if you're going to run something like a VSL, I would launch this and I would, or any kind of ad strategy, I would launch maybe like 8 to 10, sometimes more. Like when we launched our creative for our recent VSL, I launched maybe 15 in one go with the exact same visual because I don't want any variation. All I'm testing is the actual words I'm saying. Does the hook land? Which one's working? And then this is as easy as it is, but no one looks at this in business. You find what's working and you just do more of it. So like I have 7, 8 different ads that are maybe, do you have no clue how to do this? No clue to this. I'm just shooting different visuals or the body's slightly different. And one of the things that people might say is that I get really shit leads or my leads are brokies. The easiest way to get people who have higher disposable income from a creative standpoint is the words you use in the video, in the ad, make a massive difference. So I mentioned earlier about a client we have who's in the getting in shape for wedding niche. I can't remember the exact hook, but fucking baller. And it was like, there's nothing worse than wearing a $10,000 wedding dress on your wedding day and feeling terrible in it or something like that. So like by default, the person who's going to resonate with that is going to be the woman who's got money buying a $10,000 wedding dress. So you can use certain like terminology and language to try and target the right person. And I'll come on to targeting kind of later on, but that's the general thesis in terms of like how I look at things from a creative aspect. The other thing I would say from paid advertising, just business in general, is emotional detachment, and I would write this down. This is really important. So you've got to have emotional detachment from my idea is fucking great and it's not performing, I'm just going to keep running it, and also kind of emotional detachment from money, because the amount of ads I film, they're like, this is so sick, and it's terrible, nothing happens. And there'd be like a shit ad that I filmed with my iPhone like this, and it crushes. It's really frustrating. Same thing, we put loads of effort into YouTube videos sometimes. The ones that are like loads of hours gone into don't do that well, and the really basic ones do well.
Good question, yeah. Since you said like most importantly is to test like as many ideas as possible, I'm curious about that ad with Mehdi, like the funny one. Like what was that conversion and like how really, what kind of impact it made like on the business, lead flow, whatever?
I don't know because I didn't run the ad.
Oh, you're right. I ran the ad. And how's that like that was a pretty funny ad, like how much like
so one of the things I would say even from a brand, some ads are just good from, I showed earlier we had 1.7 million people have seen an ad or something this month. So like there's an element that some ads are just good also for brand awareness, as you creating authorities like positioning in the marketplace. Doesn't mean they're necessarily the greatest from a conversion standpoint. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna, if it kind of works, I'll run them. But generally I'll just try and optimize, for the highest performing one for cost per lead, cost per call, and actually the ones that make money. I can come on to like data and tracking as well with that, but I would try sometimes not to overcomplicate ads, because one of the things people do is they try and create too complicated visually filmed ads and they're kind of messy and then they don't work that well. I would just try and take like messy action and just test stuff frequently. Oh, actually, one last thing on this as well. So this is video ads. If you're going to look at graphic ads, so like static images, this is frustrating, but it's amazing at the same time. The most shit basic ads that are like terrible are the ones that perform best. So we have an ad that I cannot beat that is like a black graphic, white background, and it's like, I stole this from Grant Cardone, and I can tell you people how to like fun hack people. It's like everything you need to 10x your followers, leads, and sales, absolutely free. Literally just a black background and white text, that's it. Absolutely crushes. I can't get anything to beat it. So often the most basic things are things that do well. Why? Human psychology, that's really easy to understand. Like we want to try and keep things really, really, really simple so that more people can kind of understand it and resonate with it. One thing I would say, I can come on to this when it comes to launching ads, is also graphic ads and video ads kind of perform differently. So I would generally just kind of launch all the video ads together. As a normal case by case, I see video ads convert higher for actually making money than from a graphic ad. The reason for that, I feel, is I mentioned earlier about that Giacomo guy who mentioned he liked the way I spoke and was very convicted in terms of how I was speaking. You don't get that if you're just reading a still graphic. So that's a huge thing I'd say from that, but it's also the benefit of graphics is you can test them really quickly. You can get 10 different variations and you can kind of rip them and just see which one works. If it doesn't work, you kind of just chuck it in the bin. So I also mentioned about like detachment from whether this is good or not, you keep like running it. It's like, if it doesn't work, just get rid of it. Like, 90% of them are probably not going to work. And particularly when you have ads that are working, it takes you a while to find anything that's going to kind of be improved from it. So that's generally like the system in terms from a creative standpoint. I'd also say everyone in this room wants to make a lot of money. I'd have someone who can help you film the ads to a professional level, have a decent editing team. We have an editing team we use are fucking sick. Who are in Serbia, so if anyone wants contact for them, I can also introduce you to them. Oh, don't know why it's not updated. Number 2 is going to be in terms of ad targeting. So from a targeting perspective, the way I look at everything, why I've started in this process of the biggest thing that drives the whole process is the ad creative. If the ad creative absolutely rips, then the funnel can even kind of be pretty shit. It will still work. So from a targeting perspective, what I would do, actually I'm going to talk about something else quickly. So I spoke about funnel hacking people, right? So the easiest way to do this is if you go on Google and type in Facebook ad library, just search anyone you know who's in your space who runs loads of ads who you think makes money and just see what they're doing. And then what I would do is I'd look through the ads and look at which ones have been running the longest, because if they've been running the ad for a long period of time, why? It makes money. So I'd probably try and mirror that. If you actually look at, if you go on Facebook ad library, you can see all the ads we run. We actually maxed out Facebook ad library a couple of days ago. Facebook ads. I didn't know there was a limit to how many you could run, so that was annoying, but funny at the same time. To come back to targeting, so the AI in Meta will do the targeting for you. Based upon the language you say, it will try and match it up to the right person. So generally what I would start with people is like open targeting and then kind of work down. So why do we start like this? I mentioned earlier about like what problem do you need to solve? So in terms of what problem you need to solve, okay, let's say we start open targeting. Let's say we're getting leads, but let's say they're shit quality. They've got no money, they're brokies, they're whatever, not what we want. So okay, cool. Next layer I would then do is probably interest targeting. So depending on your niche, let's say for example, obviously fitness would be the one I would know the most. If I'm going to target people who want to get in shape who have money, I will target things like Whole Foods, Lululemon, David Lloyd gyms, Equinox. What do like wealthy, more affluent people associate themselves with? If I was, for example, going to target trainers, I will do trainer certifications, qualifications, job titles, all that type of stuff. The other audience here that absolutely crushes for targeting is lookalike audiences. So this is like ultimate hack 101 if you're not doing this right now. So lookalike audiences, if you've got a business that's had a considerable amount of customer history and clients, what you can do is you can create a lookalike audience where I can upload all of my client data for anyone who's signed up with me. And this is really important, is you import a CSV file. You'll have like name, email, and like the LTV of that client. If you have the value on there of how much that person has spent, it dramatically improves performance. And based upon that, what will happen, Facebook will try and find people similar to that list of buyers. So it will go and find people similar to your best clients. So if you use step 1 in terms of like the ad targeting, that's really hyper specific, you got the personality test, the copy's perfect to your client's avatars and pain points and problems, and you start using things like lookalike audiences of data of people who've actually given you money who are the perfect type of client, it's a little bit like shooting fish in a barrel in terms of purely from a lead generation standpoint. I'm going to talk a bit in terms of from a sales aspect as well, because one of the reasons why, in my opinion, I'm not a massive fan of people fully delegating out paid advertising is because everyone in this room, your job is to be like the rainmaker. You need to be essentially like the chief revenue officer. You have to overlook marketing and sales. Because if you fob off your paid advertising to someone down the road and they don't know that, oh, you nearly had this sale that closed for 10K and they turn the ad off, but it came from there, they don't know that. So like, there's often other reasons in the business sometimes the ads aren't profitable. But the lookalike audiences, you can do purchasers, so like clients. You could do people who booked calls. Those are probably like the best 2 that I found generally work, but I'd always start with purchasers, and you can do between like 1 to 10%. So why does it give you a range of 1 to 10%? Is how close those people are to your individual, how likely they are to be similar to your existing clients. So I would break that up normally into brackets of like 1 to 2%, 2 to 4%, and test different audiences. Depending on the countries you're running to and also the niches, you might need to do like 1 to 4, 1 to 6, slightly bigger, so you have a big enough pool. The other thing I'd say from an ads perspective I'd keep an eye on is something called frequency. So generally you want to keep that under 4. And that's where someone's seen the ad 4 times, they're not taking the action. So like the only time I'd have an exception for that is if you're running to like a warm audience, so people who already know you. Like if that's ad's really profitable, I don't really care if it goes up 6, 7, I'll kind of let it go, but you should never have that issue. Touching on that as well, people talk about running to cold traffic and then they have a high frequency problem. So if you're not running to cold traffic if you're running ad to the same person. So one of the things, if you want to get just purely new eyeballs, you want to do is you want to create an exclusion, which is anyone who, say, for example, visited your profile or like engaged. So that's how you get people who like, they fucking have no idea who you are. You can literally get fresh people into your world. Whereas a lot of time what people are doing is we're sending ads to the exact same people over and over and over again. One of the reasons you need to change your creative as well, particularly the more you spend, is because different hooks, different things are going to trigger people that are going to kind of get them to convert. So from a targeting perspective, that's generally kind of how I would run it through.
If you enjoyed this clip and you're a business owner, content creator, or coach, and you want help in terms of exactly how to scale your business to the next level using ads, AI, VSLs, setters, and building teams that basically monetize your business and monetize your knowledge, but without you having to press all the buttons, it's never been easier than before. What we can do is we can walk through the whole process in terms of how we're doing this over and over and over again with content creators, with business owners. If you hit the link at the bottom of this video, you can book a call with us and the team. We can audit your whole business, show you where the bottlenecks are, and show you exactly how we can scale. And if we think you're a good fit to work with us, we can show you what that looks like too.